Hi, welcome to Your Business, Your Rules. I'm Kat LeBlanc. This is the podcast for people who want to start and grow an online location-independent business so they can live a life of freedom and choice on their own terms. Welcome to episode 39, Why You Should Choose a Verb Rather Than Just a Word of the Year. At the time of recording, it's the new year. But whether you're listening to this in January or in June, the message is still relevant. Often when we're starting something new, there's this temptation to throw away the old so we can bring in the new. So I don't believe in that way of doing things. We're all constantly learning and growing. It's a journey, not a personality switch. So the way ahead is to continue building rather than the idea of forgetting the past. And this is about honoring the past and moving forward into the future with a new action-oriented focus. One of the strategies often talked about in the new year is choosing a word for the year rather than doing the traditional resolutions. So this is along those lines, but better. But first, just in case you're thinking, oh no, what's a verb again? So a verb is a doing word like tell, create, heal, release, speak, share, pioneer, connect. Those are all verbs. They're all actions. You do them. Whereas words like courage, confidence, attention, clarity, those are nouns. So nouns are usually things. In this case, those nouns were feelings. Often when people choose a word of the year, it's a noun. It gives you direction and potentially encompasses what you want to become. But then my question is this: what are you doing to create those feelings or to create those results that you want? If your goal for this year is to hit a certain income level or to start your business, what are you doing to make that happen? Because in order to create something new, there's some action, some doing of something for you to go from point A to point B. Let me explain what I mean with an example from my own business, which is a little awkward, but I think it's important to show you what I mean. I do a lot of mindset and personal development work in my business. And if you're on this path, you'll know you are always uncovering more stuff, which is great because the more you can uncover what's holding you back, the more you can step into who you really are without all this stuff in the way, the happier you become. My one big discovery last year was that my subconscious strategy to grow my business was this. It was tell the minimum number of people about my work to hit my financial goals. Which is a bit of a like, what? Why the hell would that be my strategy, you probably would ask. Well, that's the thing, right, about your subconscious. It's always serving you, but maybe not in the way that you'd like. I didn't actively want this to be my strategy. I didn't even know it was my strategy. I had other goals and things that I was working on. But while I was actively working to build my business, internally I was also sabotaging myself. And the reason this was happening was this. One of my key drivers is freedom. I secretly feel sorry for famous people because they can't leave their homes without being mobbed. Everywhere they go, people want pictures of them. And I know that most people idolize the rich and famous, but to me, their lives honestly sound like a prison because of this idea that I have of freedom. So I'm not saying I'd ever become that famous in this line of work. In the type of work I do, people become professionally famous, meaning they're known in their field, but they're not necessarily household names. But there was a part of me that liked not having to worry about bumping into someone who follows me at the supermarket when I've got no makeup on or I'm there in my trackies or my kind of house gear. I've been recognised on the street before in Australia and in New York City, and it was honestly a little disconcerting. I liked the idea of being anonymous. So I wasn't thinking about this actively, but part of me was trying to maintain this type of freedom while the other 80% of me was gunning to grow my business and have more people know about my work, that 20% was making sure that no one knew who I was. Not the best scenario, right? So getting back to how this ties into choosing a word or verb for the year. When I thought about my theme for the year, now that I had become aware of this behavior, I chose the theme tell the world. And the verb there is tell. So I could have chosen any old word, right, that wasn't necessarily a verb. I could have chosen leadership, expansion, or visibility. But doing that would make it harder to really check in and see if I'm actually doing what I need to be doing. I experienced this firsthand in the first few days of the year. On day 1, I had a cool day, so I was busy speaking with my clients. And when I asked myself, did I tell the world today? The answer was no. So I had to then go take an action by the end of the day to make sure that happened. And day 2 was exactly the same. On day 2, I was tired of talking because I'd been interviewing for a new role in my company, and I realized that I had, just like the day before, not prioritized telling the world. So I thought of a way that I still could. If my word was leadership, I could have said that I was acting as a leader on both of those days. The same is true of expansion. I was expanding my team. But did I take the action of telling the world, which is the action that I've identified for myself that I really need to make? No, not until I checked in with that verb, the doing word, to see if I'd actually done it, did I realize I actually hadn't, even though my intention was there. So what are you doing with your doing word? Translation, your verb might not make sense by itself. For tell to make sense, I had to connect it to a phrase, which was tell the world. So I really encourage you to do the same if your doing word doesn't necessarily make sense in isolation, although it might, right? It does depend on which verb or doing word you choose. So what do you need to do to hit your goals this year? If you have a goal for the year, what do you need to actually do on a day-by-day basis to reach it? Which actions do you want to be taking this year? Is there one word or one phrase with a verb in it that encompasses them? I'm thinking that if you boil it down to this type of action word, you are much more likely to know whether or not you did it, and then in turn, you're much more likely to actually hit your goals. I hope that was helpful for you. If you'd like to support me in my mission of telling the world, do please share with your friends. I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful year, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks for listening to Your Business, Your Rules. I'm Kat LeBlanc. If you like this show, I'd love you to subscribe, share, and leave a review on iTunes. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, head over to my website at katleblanc.com. Until next time.